Not long ago, Lobo came to Earth and visited the ruins of Metropolis. Superman confronted the alien assassin and demanded an explanation for his visit, but the main man answers to no one. He drops a building on top of Superman, so Clark flies him out to space and nearly flings him into the sun. Lobo decides that the contract that was put out on Superman is not worth the trouble, but Clark takes him to the Hall of Justice and says that he has a job for the best manhunter in the galaxy. He gives Lobo the task of finding Harley Quinn, and Lobo agrees in exchange for a Kryptonian power pill. Lex Luthor is reluctant to trust Lobo, but he relents as he figures it is unlikely the pill will affect the alien anyway. It does not take long for Lobo to find Harley Quinn, and he easily overpowers her. However, when he tries to take the woman to Superman, she is able to steal the Kryptonian power pill for herself and escape. Now empowered, she easily knocks Lobo around and flings him into a tanker truck, causing a massive explosion. Elsewhere, Dinah and Ollie are training, when Harley bursts in with Lobo's space bike. She is unable to stop the vehicle, so it crashes in a spectacular explosion. The two heroes ask what Harley is doing here, and how she found the Arrow Cave. But Quinn is mostly concerned that Ollie is calling his headquarters the Arrow Cave, and suggests that the Quiver has a better ring to it. When pressed, Harley reveals that she was able to figure out the cave's location when she was being held captive here earlier. Suddenly, Lobo appears, having tracked Harley down. The three characters are able to overpower and blind the alien, so Quinn leaps onto his shoulders. With her new enhanced strength, she tears Lobo's head clean off, declaring the fight to be the best team-up ever! Lobo's formidable healing powers mean that he is able to recover quite quickly, and after talking things over with Harley Quinn, he agrees to leave without filling the bounty in order to seek a proper challenge for the main man elsewhere. Dinah and Ollie are impressed at this, but Harley says it's all thanks to the team of Canary, Quinn, and Queen. Oliver agrees, but then realizes that Harley just used his real name. Elsewhere, on the planet Apocalypse, Lobo finds himself a proper challenge, and gets ready to dance. Years before any of this, Oliver Queen, Dinah Lance, and Hal Jordan are celebrating a successful outing with the Justice League. In spite of Hal's protests, Ollie insists they go grab a drink. At the bar, a biker tries to hit on Dinah, which amuses Oliver. When the biker and his gang threaten Green Arrow, the Black Canary steps in to defend his honor. She easily beats the goons, and the three friends share a toast, which Ollie dedicates to Hal Jordan. In the present day, the heroes have gathered for the funeral of Oliver Queen. Dinah Lance has one question for Hal Jordan. After everything that has happened, will he still stand with Superman? When Jordan says he will, the Black Canary declares there is nothing more to be said between them. Superman then comes by and asks if he can talk to Dinah. He says this was an accident, and he never meant for Ollie to be hurt. Dinah screams at Superman in response, and goads him into attacking. She thought Clark was human, but he's not. He doesn't see the world like we do. He sees it as something fragile that needs protection. But the human race is not fragile, and they will tear Superman down. He asks Clark to look at her, closely, and Superman is shocked to learn that she is pregnant. At this news, Clark leaves. Dinah contacts Oracle and confirms that her contact lenses just recorded the entire conversation. The Black Canary is fighting for two now, and she will have her revenge. His name is Kyle Rayner. He has been in deep space on a mission for the Guardians for over a year now. He has fought evil across the stars. He has saved whole worlds. And now he is finally returning home to Earth. However, it is a vastly different world than the one he has left behind. In Gotham, Jim Gordon is summoned when Superman lights the bat signal. Clark demands to know where Batman is hiding, but Gordon happily says he has absolutely no idea. Superman can use his powers to easily see that Jim is telling the truth, but warns Gordon not to aid the fugitive. Jim makes it clear that Batman is no fugitive from any justice that he represents, and in response, Clark coldly informs Gordon that he has widespread cancer in his lungs, and leaves. Far, far away, Bruce Wayne wakes up to see Alfred. The loyal butler has taken Bruce into hiding. Thanks to Zatanna, they are using the Tower of Fate to remain hidden from Superman and his lackeys. The magician puts Bruce back to sleep, knowing that he needs to rest. He is still badly injured from his fight with Superman, and he's going to need a lot of time to get back to full health. As Kyle approaches Earth, his ring detects something nearby. Suddenly, the Green Lantern is surrounded by members of the Yellow Lantern Corps and their leader, Sinestro. The villain explains that he has been watching Earth. Things have changed down there, and the heroes are finally beginning to think like Sinestro. There's a war coming to Earth, and alliances are to be made. Sinestro asks if the Lantern is afraid, and before Rayner can call for help, the alien rips Kyle's finger clean off. As Kyle loses his powers, Sinestro states he can feel the humans' fear. There is a war coming, but Kyle won't be there to see it. On Oa, the home world of the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians of the Universe are discussing Earth. Gambit is concerned about a large shift in power there, as this planet is a focal point for events across the entire galaxy. The Guardian is suspicious that Hal Jordan is too involved with these events to be trusted, so they ask Guy Gardner to investigate. Guy is amused at all this and is certain that Superman is not out of control, having complete trust in the heroes of Earth. But when they tell him that Kyle Rayner went missing on his way back home, Gardner agrees to look into this matter. However, he won't be alone in this investigation. Back on Earth, Hal Jordan is trying to land a badly damaged plane. It nearly crashes into the ground, but Hal is able to save himself by using his ring at the last minute. Carol Fenris is surprised at this, as Hal normally never wears his ring during flights. Jordan insists he's just being pragmatic, but Carol can tell that Hal is actually afraid about something. In the Watchtower, Superman looks over a still wounded Wonder Woman. She was badly hurt after the US government authorized Captain Atom to try and kill her and Clark. Superman contacts Hal Jordan and informs the Green Lantern that Congress is about to shut the government down. Hal is reluctant to interfere with this, but Superman reminds Jordan that he is tasked with protecting Earth, even from its own people. This isn't interference, it's protection. With this, Hal agrees and asks for backup. Superman knows that he is likely too emotional himself to deal with the government that just tried to kill him and Wonder Woman, so he sends the Flash in his stead. Together, Hal and Barry seal Congress and force the politicians to pass a bill allowing the government to continue functioning. Congress is furious, but powerless to stop this. When the two heroes leave, however, they are confronted by Guy Gardner and Ganthet, who demand to speak to Superman. Meanwhile, an alarm sounds in the Watchtower, and Clark is shocked to find Sinestro has come to visit. Without hesitation, he grabs the villain and pins him against the moon. But Sinestro manages to get Superman to stop. The villain isn't here for a fight, but rather to deliver a warning. The Guardians of the Universe are coming for Superman. Sure enough, Clark then meets up with Ganthet in the Hall of Justice. In spite of Sinestro's warning, the Guardian says he is here to just offer some advice. He tells Superman to stop this madness. Clark isn't trying to protect the people of Earth, but rather control them. Ganthet says that people deserve their freedom, even from those who would try and help them. So Superman asks Ganthet if that's the policy the Guardians took when it came to the planet Krypton. Ganthet refuses to answer this, and Clark realizes that the Guardians stood by while his home world burned. The Guardian angrily declares that the people of Krypton doomed themselves, and restates that he will not allow Superman to rule over the people of Earth. They almost come to blows, and Superman demands that Ganthet get off of his planet. Sad to see what Superman has become, the Guardian leaves, ordering Guy Gardner and a reluctant Hal Jordan to come with him back to Oa. Sinestro then appears and says this confirms what he's been saying. They are Guardians in name only, and will stand by as people suffer and die. Superman still doesn't trust Sinestro, but the villain doesn't want his trust. He knows that sooner or later, the Sinestro Corps will be needed, and they are ready to help protect Earth from the oncoming storm. In response to these events, Green Lanterns from all over the universe are recalled to Oa. Jon Stewart is among those called in, in spite of his protest that he is busy fighting an outbreak of the undead on Ryu. He complies, but openly questions what could possibly be more important than a planet filled with zombies. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, Superman and Lex Luthor have just unleashed the first wave of their new police force. Empowered by the Kryptonian super pills, this new group will bring order to Gotham. Jim Gordon is ordered to let the troops in by the mayor, as Superman insists that Jim has failed a city with the worst crime rate in the country. With no other choice, Jim complies. He then walks up to a nearby security camera. "It's your dad," he says. "Let me in." Jim reveals that he knows everything. About Batgirl, about Bruce Wayne, about Oracle. He's known everything since she first put on a costume. He's a detective after all, and has been merely playing his part the whole time, knowing that it was better he appear ignorant as a police commissioner. But things have changed, so Barbara lets her father into her headquarters, where Gordon explains that he is dying. But Jim doesn't want to leave this world to Superman, who knows he is going to become a monster. So Oracle reveals that her father doesn't know everything, and welcomes him into the Resistance. At the Hall of Justice, Flash and Lex Luthor are both extremely concerned over the prospect of working with Sinestro. So the villain relates to them why he wants to help Earth out. Sinestro explains how he was once the greatest among the Green Lanterns. He never questioned the Guardians or their motives, but he saw that the people of his home planet on Korrigar were suffering. So Sinestro sought to help them, casting those who would abuse their power out, and taking over his home world to lead it to a better tomorrow. And for all his good deeds, the villain was punished, as the Green Lantern Corps were sent in to stop him. Sinestro tried to reason with his attackers, but he was forcibly stripped of his power ring by his one-time protege, Hal Jordan. In reality, we see that the villain is distorting the truth. He set himself up as a vicious dictator of Korrigar. His wife killed herself out of fear, and his daughter was sent away for her own protection. The Green Lanterns came and tried to reason with Sinestro, who responded by attacking like a savage animal. However, even with Sinestro's lies, Luthor and Barry are still unconvinced. So Sinestro willingly gives Luthor his power ring, much to the shock of Lex. But the alien is confident that the Guardians of the Universe will come for Clark, and when they do, they're going to need his help. Back on Oa, the Guardians have mobilized a squad of Green Lanterns and are preparing to invade Earth. Knowing Jordan can't be trusted, Kilowog is ordered to take Hal's ring until all of this is over. Even though he is surrounded, Hal actually is able to escape. He tries to flee to Earth so he can warn Superman, so the Guardians use their incredible power to stop him. Kilowog is ordered to knock Jordan out, and the other Lanterns take Hal's ring. They then set out to arrest Superman. But John Stewart still trusts Hal and Superman enough to give them the benefit of the doubt, so he frees his friend and the two set out to help Earth and their friends. Back home at Fawcett City High School, Superman comes by and says he needs to talk to Billy. The teacher is shocked but agrees, asking if Clark has anything to say to the children. Rather than opting for something inspiring, Superman flatly and coldly just tells the children to be good. Clark then takes Billy and they set out, with Superman explaining that the Green Lanterns are coming and they need Billy's help. So Billy has Superman drop him, and in midair, the boy transforms into Shazam. The Justice League gathers together, and soon enough, the Green Lanterns approach Superman and demand his surrender. In response, Clark orders Cyborg to fire a massive satellite weapon from the Watchtower, burying the Green Lanterns in a pile of rubble. But enough of them recover from the attack, and a battle with the Justice League begins. Kilowog attacks Superman, which Clark thinks is just plain stupid. He can move faster than the speed of thought, so what hope do these guys possibly have? Luckily, the Green Lanterns already thought of that, and Superman suddenly hurtles to the ground. It's always the same with these all-powerful types. They're used to big things coming their way, so they don't consider the little things in life. Chip the Green Lantern may be small, but that doesn't stop him from using his ring to stop the synapses from firing within Superman's brain. Elsewhere, Sinestro knows the Green Lanterns are attacking, and demands that Luthor let him go free. Lex reluctantly agrees, giving the alien his power ring back and vowing that he won't let the villain corrupt Superman. Sinestro replies that Clark doesn't need to be corrupted, and that Superman is willingly becoming more like him already. Over in Starling City, Dinah is surprised to find Guy Gardner in her apartment. Guy explains that he's investigating the disappearance of Kyle. He was trusting of Superman until he saw that he nearly came to blows with Ganthet. He asks Black Canary if it's possible Clark could do something to Kyle, and she sadly admits that he is capable of anything like that these days. Gardner realizes that Superman has truly been corrupted, and Dinah says she honestly and truly believes he wants to take over the world. Meanwhile, the Green Lanterns are preparing to take Superman home, when suddenly, blood begins to trickle down Chip's head. The Green Lantern falls over, dead, and Sinestro appears before the rest of them. A fierce battle erupts between the heroes, which only stops when Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart arrive from Oa. Hal calls out to Kilowog and begs him to stop fighting Superman, and Sinestro, now backed by his own Lantern Corps, reiterates that command. Elsewhere in Gotham, the police are proving to be overly aggressive against the citizens of the city. Even the ordinary police are treated with disdain, and Detective Harvey Bullock is badly beaten after breaking the citywide curfew. Jim Gordon visits his colleague in the hospital and orders Harvey to get up. In spite of his injuries, Bullock complies and is told that he won't be needing his badge. Gordon says it is time for them to police their city. With one among them dead and the rest badly outnumbered, Kilowog orders the Green Lanterns to stand down. They request to be allowed to return to Oa, but Sinestro says that Superman can't do that. He tells Clark that if the Green Lanterns go back, they will only return in full force. Superman agrees, forcing Kilowog and the other aliens to surrender their power rings. Every one of the Green Lanterns, except for Hal and Jon Stewart, are taken prisoner, and Sinestro has his own men stand down. In Earth's orbit, Guy Gardner watches the Sinestro Corps leaving Earth. He contacts Black Canary and tells her that Oa must be informed about what happened here today. He doesn't know how long it will be until he can come back, so Dinah promises not to do anything stupid, but Guy knows better than that. Over in Gotham, she and the Birds of Prey are meeting with Jim Gordon and many other members of the Gotham City Police Department. All of these officers have proven themselves in the past as true peacekeepers who are willing to stand up to authority when they thought it was the right thing to do. With the stolen Kryptonian power pills, these men and women will be able to stand up to Superman's army, and together, they're going to take back Gotham. Later, Black Canary visits the former headquarters of her deceased love, the Arrow Cave. Over in the radio, she mentions to Oracle how Harley wanted to call this place the Quiver, and both women agree that that actually is a far superior name to the Arrow Cave. Inside, Dinah is surprised to find that Harley has taken refuge here. Quinn springs into action and unleashes her fluffy slipper attack, tricking Dinah into thinking they are explosives. Frustrated, the Canary unleashes a sonic wave, so Harley follows up with a strike from her hammer. However, Dinah asks for a timeout, which Quinn isn't sure is allowed in a fight. Regardless, Black Canary is feeling ill, and Harley realizes that the woman is suffering from morning sickness. She finds it amusing, but inadvertently reveals that she recognized the symptoms from when she was pregnant herself. Suddenly quiet and gloomy, Dinah gets Harley to explain that she has a daughter. She secretly lives with Harley's sister, knowing that the Joker would not have taken the news well. Quinn asks if Dinah's baby is Oliver's, and though Dinah says she's not supposed to know his secret identity, she admits that it is. She remembers that Oliver always saw something in Harley Quinn, and tells her that Superman murdered the Green Arrow. When Dinah says she wants to make sure that Clark will never harm anyone again, Harley Quinn begs for the opportunity to help out. On the other side of the galaxy, the Guardians are worried. Earth has somehow vanished from their sights. Guy Gardner arrives and explains what happens. He admits he was wrong about Superman, and he's been wrong about a lot of his friends lately. The Guardians agree that Earth must be dealt with, but insist on biding their time before acting too rashly. Over in Gotham City, Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock test out the Kryptonian pills. They run into two soldiers, one of whom was the one who beat up Harvey. so they have Huntress take out their communication systems. The cops then force the two men into a warehouse, and together, the Birds of Prey and the Gotham City Police Department beat Superman's goons down. Gordon has the men taken prisoner without due process and says they are not to be read their rights. These men are not criminals. They are part of an invading army and need to be interrogated. This is war. 7 months later. Dinah Lance should be in pain, but she isn't anymore. She tries to speak, but there's nothing to say. She has just birthed her son and names him Connor. He's the most perfect thing in the world, but her one and only wish is that Oliver were here to see this. Meanwhile, the Watcher detects something approaching Earth. Cyborg is surprised to find that the object appears to be a person. Superman is busy visiting Wonder Woman, so Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart move to intercept. However, they aren't going to make it. The person crashes into Chicago, and Sinestro moves in. The Yellow Lantern recognizes the alien as a being called the Sparrow, and declares that he won't let him harm these people. As Sinestro launches them both into the air, the Sparrow is confused. The alien was attacked by the Sinestro Corps, and they forced him to Earth. But Sinestro continues pretending that Despero is hostile. He creates yellow constructs around the alien's hands, forcing him to strangle Sinestro. As the Green Lanterns arrive, Sinestro pretends to have no other choice than to snap the neck of his attacker. Not realizing the ruse, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are convinced that Sinestro has actually changed for the better, suggesting the alien has done this before. They all move in to help any injured civilians. At the hospital, Harley Quinn comes by to visit the new baby. She has presents, including a muzzle, in case the baby inherited her mother's sonar screams, which Dinah begrudgingly admits might actually be necessary. Suddenly, the Black Canary is contacted by Guy Gardner. It's finally time. The Green Lanterns have marshaled their forces. Dinah asks if they are sure they can win this war without tearing the world apart, and Guy says they aren't, which is why they're bringing their own planet. On Earth, Superman begins a broadcast to the world. Tomorrow, war is coming. After all the rogue nations the Justice League has toppled, after all the wars they have ended, and after establishing a private security force around the world, the Green Lanterns are still coming to take all this progress away. And while Superman has allies, he asks the citizens of Earth to join him in protecting this planet. Oracle is shocked at this broadcast, as it means that Clark just callously asked the world to act as a human shield, which will severely hamper the Green Lanterns but risks so many lives. But the Resistance has allies of their own, and Oracle receives the codes to the Watchtower's communications from their mysterious source within the Justice League. Zatanna then appears before Barbara and Dinah, declaring it is time. Oracle tells Dinah that she doesn't need to do this, and that Oliver doesn't need revenge. But looking down at Connor, Dinah knows that she needs to fight for a better future for her son. So her and Zatanna go to the Tower of Fate. There, Batman is working on his slow recovery, as his back remains decimated by his encounter with Superman last year. Zatanna is unwilling to use magic to heal Batman, as it would be too easy for the healing spell to be broken in the middle of a fight. Bruce has Oracle send a message for all of their Earthbound allies. War is coming. Bruce is so sorry it came to this, but this might be their last chance to stop Superman. He tells everyone to say goodbye to their loved ones, as some of them won't be coming back from this. Tomorrow, they will fight for the end of the tyranny of Superman, and Bruce is sorry that he can't fight alongside them. The Birds of Prey head out, along with Alfred, who refuses to sit back as their friends go to war. When they leave, Batman reveals he's not sitting out this fight entirely, and has Zatanna send him to Oracle. Together, the two prepare for what is coming. Suddenly, darkness falls around the Earth all at once. The Green Lanterns are here, and they brought their biggest core member. Hal and John are shocked to see Mogo, and half of the entire Green Lantern Corps are surrounding them. Guy Gardner greets them, commenting on how crazy this all is. It doesn't take long for Superman and the Sinestro Corps to appear before the invaders. The three human Green Lanterns and Clark have a talk, and Guy makes one final plea for sanity. He asks that Superman help them take down the Sinestro Corps and turn himself in. That way, none of their friends have to die. But Clark rebuffs the offer, claiming that the Green Lantern Corps could have the same effect if they all just left right now. Guy begs Superman to reconsider, pointing out the fact that Sinestro Corps can't be trusted and that they should all be on the same side. Annoyed, Superman declares Guy as an embarrassment to Earth, goading the Lantern to strike out at him. Clark says he doesn't want Gardner in this fight, so he grabs the Lantern's arm, breaks it, and flings him into space. With that, the battle begins. The two Lantern Corps charge one another, but the Green Lanterns suddenly pull away. Guy explains to John Stewart that the Guardians are not messing around. They have planned this attack well. How much willpower do you think a planet has? The people of Earth look on as a quarter of the Sinestro Corps is instantly vaporized by Mogo. Superman narrowly escapes, carrying Sinestro and Hal Jordan with him. He orders all forces to pull back to Earth, knowing that they can't be hit like that again with the planet covering them. Meanwhile, Dinah Lance is preparing in the Batcave. Alfred sadly informs her that she only gets one Kryptonian bullet, while Bruce asks her to try and take Clark in alive. Dinah promises she will try, but she can't guarantee anything. The guy with the best aim is dead. Elsewhere, at the Hall of Justice, the Gotham City Police Department and Harley Quinn, sporting one of the Joker's old outfits, prepare for war. Harley kicks off the battle with the use of an explosive vest. In response, the Flash springs into action, rescuing a guard. However, the guard reveals to her would-be savior that she's actually Catwoman. Knowing the Flash would be dangerous in the coming battle, and that Batman doesn't want Barry to be hurt, she knocks the Flash unconscious and declares his part in all of this to be over. Robin then attacks Catwoman, and, for all Damian has done to hurt Bruce Wayne, the feline-themed hero decides it's time to teach the boy a lesson. The rest of the Hall of Justice quickly falls to the Gotham Police, and Luthor sends Cyborg up to the Watchtower. Before he leaves, Cyborg says that he's discovered someone is listening in on their communications. Hearing this, Luthor willingly surrenders and reveals to Jim Gordon that he is the Rebellion's spy, and if they don't act quickly, Cyborg will discover the identity of Oracle. While Harley happily finds the original costume was being stored here, Jim and Luthor agree to travel to the Watchtower, on the condition that Lex be made to look as if he were Gordon's prisoner. Jim tells Luthor that he doesn't have to worry about being exposed, as dead men don't tell secrets. Meanwhile, a contingent of rebels attack the Ferris airfield, intent on stealing the experimental jets to help the Green Lanterns out. Hal Jordan is called in by Carol, and is discreetly observed by Sinestro and Guy Gardner. Arriving at the airport quickly, Hal stops the Huntress from taking off. Guy tries to stop Hal from hurting anybody, and the two nearly come to blows, only for Sinestro to attack Guy Gardner. Surrounded by yellow lanterns, Guy admits that he still has faith in Hal Jordan, even now after everything that's happened. The Guardians, on the other hand, well, they gave up. Ganthet appears and attacks the others, easily blowing them back. In the ensuing chaos, Guy rescued Carol from an explosion, only for Hal to angrily confront his one-time friend. Seeing Jordan has truly lost his way, Ganthet declares that Hal has broken his oath, and expels him from the Green Lantern Corps in midair. As a result, Hal and Carol plummet to the ground. Jordan begs Sinestro to save Carol, but the alien insists that they need Hal in this war more than anyone. If he wants to save Carol, he'll have to do it himself. And Sinestro offers Jordan a yellow power ring. Hal begrudgingly accepts, saving Carol and joining the Sinestro Corps. This delights the alien, who is pleased that he and Hal are once again serving as part of the same corps, and he says that together, they will show the world the true power of fear. Around the world, the Green Lantern Corps are being deliberately and forcefully spread out. Knowing that the Lanterns will be forced to protect civilians, the Yellows are taking the fight to populated areas. Oracle and Batman detect Cyborg hacking into their communication system. As he closes in on their location, Cyborg is stopped by Jim Gordon and a seemingly captured Lex Luthor. Gordon angrily shoots Cyborg in the face, but the one-time hero notes that Jim's vitals are rapidly failing. The Kryptonian power pills are accelerating Gordon's cancer. In spite of Jim being on the verge of death, he manages to stop Cyborg, knocking his enemy to the ground and ripping his faceplate clean off. With this act, Oracle's secret identity is preserved. Gordon has Luthor take Cyborg down to the Hall of Justice and requests that he be given a moment alone on the Watchtower. Looking down on Earth, he contacts his daughter and tells her that Superman is a criminal. They must not let this planet fall into his hands. Batman vows that he will not let Clark win this, and Gordon says it is good to hear his old friend's voice once again. The Dark Knight introduces himself as Bruce, but Jim says that was never his name. Batman says it was an honor to serve with Jim Gordon, and Gordon only asked that his old friend continue to serve Gotham. He says goodbye to his daughter and makes it clear just how much he loves her, before commenting that for once, he gets to be the one who disappears on Batman. At the Ferris airfield, with the Lanterns distracted by Hal's transformation, the air team is able to successfully steal the Ferris jets, while Black Canary takes off in the Batwing. During this time, Ganthet dismisses the Yellow Lanterns as insignificant in the grand scheme of things. He unceremoniously kills Sinestro's lackeys before taking off, not viewing the former Green Lanterns as a viable threat. In space, Ganthet appears before Superman in an instant and uses his formidable powers to knock down the one-time hero. The Yellow Lanterns save Superman, so the Ferris jets attack the aliens. They want Superman alone. The Batwing then sets a direct course towards Clark, who assumes that Bruce is piloting it. He angrily destroys the plane, only for the Black Canary to leap out of it, pinning Superman to the ground with her sonic shriek. The two get into a fight, and Dinah says she's glad Lois died before she saw Clark like this. Furious, Clark replies that she doesn't have the right to talk about Lois, and he grabs his opponent. So Dinah shoots him in the chest with a Kryptonian bullet. She swore she would tear Superman down, but she will not kill him. Even though Clark never showed Oliver mercy, and after everything else this man has done in the name of justice, Bruce still, somehow, cares about the worthless life of Superman. With Clark down, Ganthet begins to systematically wipe out Superman's forces. Most of the Justice League and members of Clark's army are imprisoned and hidden away, while Harley happily takes on the task of reprogramming the Flash into somebody who won't listen to Superman. Dinah declares it over. They won. As she talks over their plans moving forward with the rest of the Resistance, Dinah fails to notice a yellow power ring approaching Superman.
Kal-El of the planet Krypton, you have the ability to instill great fear.
Clark creates a construct which he uses to tear out the Kryptonian bullet, and he mortally wounds Black Canary with his optic beams.
Welcome to the Sinestro Corps.
As Dinah lay before Superman, dying, she reveals that he still loses. She was wearing contact lenses the entire time, though the rest of the world saw everything. He might win this battle now, but everyone now knows what Superman is. Everybody will fear him for the tyrant he has become. Furious, Clark leaves her to die and begins a devastating attack on the Green Lanterns. In the midst of the ensuing chaos, John Stewart begs everyone to stop fighting. But Sinestro stops him and asks the man to accept that the Guardians just don't care about Earth. The alien asks him to look at Earth as an architect, to see Superman's designs for it. Reluctantly, John Stewart admits he sees what Sinestro is talking about, but says he doesn't want to. Sinestro replies that he knows, and impales John through the chest. The truth can be painful, but in the end, John will, at the very least, still be useful. He takes Stewart's corpse to Hal, claiming that Guy Gardner killed their friend. Furious, Hal Jordan charges at Guy, angrily tearing his arm off and refusing to listen to reason. Now unprotected by a power ring, Guy dies, and his lifeless body crashes into the moon below. The Green Lanterns of Earth are gone. Watching this, Batman realizes it's over. The entire world just watched Superman commit a slaughter, and Clark is wearing a ring powered by fear. He'll be fueled by the panic of billions. Bruce orders a full retreat, but Ganthet refuses to back down. But Superman is no longer even affected by the Guardians' attacks. He grabs Ganthet and hurls him through space. Mogo fires at them with his full power, but even that isn't enough to stop Clark. Superman can feel Ganthet's fear. He can feel the fear in Mogo, too. They are right to be afraid. Superman pushes the two back, far from the orbit of Earth, past Venus and Mercury, and straight into the sun. In an explosive reaction, Ganthet and Mogo are destroyed. On Earth, Hal Jordan asks what just happened, and Sinestro declares that they saved the world. Later, Dr. Fate approaches the body of Dinah Lance. He takes off his helmet and has a moment of quiet contemplation. After a while, he comes to a decision. Fate! Dinah later wakes up in a peaceful cabin. Dr. Fate admits he intervened and brought Dinah and Connor into another universe on another Earth. One where Dinah has already died, but Oliver Queen still lives. Dinah can never return home as Fate has interfered too much already, but here, the two will at least have a chance at happiness. Dr. Fate leaves the two alone. After a moment of awkward silence, Oliver says he's always liked the name Connor. The two just don't know what to say, so Oliver throws out a greeting. Hello, pretty bird. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is the complete story of Injustice, Year 2. Well, there's a bit of a story about how this video went through production. See, when Joey told me he was going to review Injustice Year 1, I thought, great, one less thing for me to have on my to-do list. But I also was going to miss some key moments that would have been a lot of fun to talk about. All the cool Injustice things that I had known about ahead of time were in Year 1, like the stuff with Oliver Queen, that awesome ending with Superman, Batman, and Alfred, and all the other little things. So when Joey offered to let me do Year 2, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was also probably not going to make this video right away until we got a few requests for it. And by a few, I mean more requests than we have had for any other character, story, or any other kind of video in the history of this channel. You guys wanted more Injustice, and I wasn't going to shy away from delivering. And boy am I glad you guys did make these requests, because this comic was so fun to cover. I'm serious, this was an epic, fun, and big story. I liked almost everything about Year 2. There's so many cool moments here, and there's one of those things where this comic shouldn't be good at all when you think about it. It's a tie-in for a video game, and we're still a prequel. Usually both of these things are a death sentence for stakes or creativity, but the unique nature of the Injustice story and the excellent writing of Tom Taylor really make this series work. Part of it definitely has to do with the fact that they have license to get away with things they wouldn't in the mainstream comics. You can kill off characters, make big sweeping revelations or changes to classic figures, and do whatever else pleases you without worrying about the long-term consequences. But it is more than that. Taylor also shows some masterful use of pacing in this story, as everything carefully builds up to this big all-out war, which works as a climax for this story both in terms of action and emotion. Everything builds up to this moment perfectly, and boy does it pay off. I'm really, truly impressed by Year 2. Yeah, the art does leave something to be desired at times, particularly when it comes to facial expressions and posing, but overall, the writing is too good for me to care. There's so many amazing character moments and action scenes, I was really just blown away by all of this. You can see things slowly but steadily moving towards the environment of the Injustice game, but they still manage to throw in a lot of unexpected twists and turns, which is just so cool. I also like the defined timeline of this comic. They do some really cool things with that. For example, Wonder Woman and Batman are benched for this entire year, freeing the comic to focus on Superman, the Green Lanterns, and Jim Gordon. Collectively that works, and boy does it work well. I also like how Batman basically winds up working as a second Oracle, working right alongside Barbara in his own wheelchair, and not participating in combat once throughout all of year 2. That's cool, and while I'm sure these characters will be back in year 3, I enjoy the fact that they took their time and didn't just have them get injured in year 1 and then back in year 2. There were consequences to the beats of this story, and it made for an excellent shift in focus away from the usual trinity of DC heroes. As a result, we get some really awesome stuff with the Green Lanterns and that aspect of the DC universe, which I was so happy about because I love the Green Lanterns. Hell, they killed off one of my all-time favorite Green Lantern characters, and I still just adore that moment. Because it was so earned within the context of this story. It was built up over these 12 awesome issues, and that part, when you get to it and have earned it, is just so epic in its scope and scale. So you just have to check these comics out for yourself. They're too good and have way too much content for you to rely on our little summaries alone. And as for us covering the next couple years of Injustice, well, Joey will be taking year 3. Sadly, that means the next time I get to talk about this series, well, let's just say I anticipate Injustice will be hitting a brick wall sometime around year 4. Tom Taylor doesn't write this series indefinitely, and from what I've heard, well, I expect the quality of this series will diminish once this writer leaves. Still, this Tom Taylor has really gotten my attention, and I will definitely be keeping an eye on whatever else he ends up writing in the future. Turns out I've already reviewed one of his series in the form of Superior Iron Man, a comic I actually came around to liking after a while. So I'll see what else this guy does going forward, as I've certainly taken notice of him now. And that's about everything. What was your favorite part of year 2? There were so many scenes to love, so feel free to share the ones you enjoyed in the comments section below. And, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.